Hello and welcome to A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. I'm your host, Tomas Garza, and we have begun our exploration, and it's a beautiful and fun, I hope, for you, exploration of the workbook for students of A Course in Miracles. Yesterday, we launched with Lesson 1, which is an exercise in looking around you and just stating, nothing I see in this room, on this street, in this city, in this world means anything. Now, backdrop, if you're just joining me, I want to invite you to start from lesson 1 for sure. Today we're going on to lesson 2, then 3, etc. The workbook lessons are numbered up to 365. So it takes at least a year to go through all of them. And I will say a couple of things. The goal here is not to get through things. This, A Course in Miracles, and this workbook is designed to bring about a change in our perception, a shift in our perception. The goal is not to check items off a to-do list. In the world, that is how we conduct our lives. We have lists. You may be a list maker. I make lists sometimes and check items off of the list. But the purpose of these exercises is to begin to introduce a different thought system. It's different than the way we go through our daily lives, thinking that everything we see has meaning. And we'll talk about this in lesson 2 today. These workbook exercises are designed to be done in a short period of time. It takes maybe 30 seconds. It will take maybe 30 seconds. You might want to spend a little bit more than that. Maybe no more than a minute is recommended for yesterday's exercise and today's. So what is today's lesson in the workbook for students? Well, it's an extension of yesterday's. These flow in a logical sequence of events, maybe not logical to us, but I promise you, Jesus knows exactly what he's doing at all times. So let's follow along with this. So lesson 2, if you've got this in front of you in the workbook, reads, I have given everything I see in this room all the meaning that it has for me. Yesterday, nothing I see means anything. Today, I've given everything I see in this room all the meaning it has for me. So what does practicing this look like? I've given this computer all the meaning that it has for me. I've given this ring light all the meaning that it has for me. I've given these paintings behind me all the meaning that they have for me. I've given these masks to my other side all the meaning they have for me. And so on. I've given this room all the meaning it has for me. I've given this window all the meaning that it has for me. And just apply these ideas indiscriminately. That's all the course asks. And it actually mentions here in lesson 2 of the workbook, recommends that you just pan around your viewpoint. To share with you, I'm looking at bookcases on either side of me. I'm looking at some paintings. I'm looking at some artwork that I picked up down in Mexico. Over here and over here, there's a beautiful painting on the wall. So just pan around wherever you are. 30, 45 seconds is sufficient. And say that I've given this bookcase all the meaning that it has for me. That's it. That's all. Now, very important point on both of these exercises here is that we don't try to discriminate. Really, when the course means look at everything indiscriminately, they do mean that. Now, that's a very important lesson for us because why we judge. We're judgers. We like to hold things out as special when we talk about forgiveness in much greater detail. And we've talked about this a little bit already. It is very important that we blanket forgive totally. Right? But what we want to do is we want to hold certain things out. And this exercise, it may seem rather innocuous to skip over a bookcase or to skip over a window and say, yeah, I want to keep that to myself. I want to keep the meaning that I've assigned to this. In forgiveness, it means, well, I want to forgive this person, but not that one because I don't agree with their political views, for example. It could be anything, right? We give with strings attached in the world. We give discriminately. And the purpose of these exercises, and indeed of all spiritual practice, is to work on making that indiscriminate, the way God loves, just loves. That's all. Doesn't matter who the object of that is or what the object of that is. That's the purpose of these exercises, is to begin to train our minds for the experience of absolute truth. So just as you're practicing, I invite you to look around indiscriminately. And as the workbook tells us, just use the exercises. It's not important, especially at this point, it's not important that you believe that nothing you see means anything. It's not important that you believe that you've given everything that you see and every single thing all of the meaning that it has for you. So what does that actually mean? What does that actually mean that we've given everything that we see all of the meaning that it has and that it holds for us? Well, in short, it means we're making this whole thing up. I'm certain for many of you, and for me sometimes, it doesn't feel that way. We're certainly not conditioned to think that we're making this whole thing up. We are not raised, if you were, I'm very happy for you. I was not raised to think that I had the power to change my mind about this, to change my experience. We're simply taught growing up that we're dropped here in this environment. It is what it is, so make the best of it. Now, you may have been told to grow up, man up, right? Whatever that looks like. Yeah, this is not something that we're taught, is that we have the ability to radically change our minds and our experience. Course in Miracles says differently. We've given everything that we see all of the meaning that it holds for us. So I want to go on here and see who's joining me live. I invite you to join me live. And if you have questions, comments, anything like that, I'm happy to pick them up right here on the live stream. And if I do not get to your questions or comments during the stream, which is very short, most of them are about 15 minutes in length, then I will see the comments and I'll respond to you afterwards. So I hope that these exercises are things that you are able to do with some leisure and some comfort. They may not seem natural or normal to you, and that's okay. In reality, I would invite you to consider, is the world around you really natural and normal? What is the real world anyway? Is it what you think that it is? Does everything really have meaning here? Or is it quite the opposite? Let's see. We've got a question or comment here. Yes. All right. So, Deidre, thank you for joining us. Love making things up with y'all. Yes. Well, we're making up some things here in the world that are helping us to see things differently, like Enlightened World Network. Yes. Like this live stream, like A Course in Miracles. So, Yes, while we're making up our entire experience, happily, we have some teachers that have come to help us. We have Christ, we have Buddha, we have all kinds of other teachers, human and non-human, that are here to help us and give us tools like A Course in Miracles, like the workbook for students, that enable us to perceive differently. So we learn to perceive differently, then we learn to make that different, that new perspective, a continuous experience. It's a process. And that's why there are 365 lessons here in the workbook. That's why the text of A Course in Miracles is several hundred pages long. It is certainly not designed to be read straight through like a novel. And again, I want to emphasize that the purpose of these workbook exercises is to begin little by little to help you change your mind. Doesn't make any difference if you believe them. Just make your best effort to do exactly what the workbook says, as much as you can remember it. Today's idea, just apply it indiscriminately to anything that you see. Because I promise you, we've given everything that we see all of the meaning that it has for us. Good, bad, ugly, beautiful, horrendous, wonderful. Those are all labels, right, that we've put on all of our experience. So let's practice a bit at a time, undoing that, undoing it. Now, this live stream is every day. So thank you so much for tuning in. And I invite you to join me here live on Enlightened World Network every single day. We're going through the workbook for students of A Course in Miracles. And the times, I will invite you to check the show guide on Enlightened World Network's Facebook page every day. The times are going to jump around, at least for a little while. So tomorrow, here, Wednesday the 3rd, I'll be going live and doing this live stream at noon Eastern time. So about 12:05 here in North America. All right, 9:05 Pacific tomorrow. Please join me and let me know your questions and comments. If you have a specific question for me and you're catching this on the replay, feel free to leave a comment here. I'll look at them throughout the day. I'll get back to you. My purpose in doing this is simply to show up and to teach, to show you how this course has fundamentally impacted my life, and to show you how it can do the same for you. If you're willing to open this up, and if you're willing to look at all of your perceptions indiscriminately, then change, real change, massive transformation, in fact, is indeed possible. So thank you so much for joining me here today. Again, I'm Tomas Garza. This is A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love.